peak-level fight among the younger generation. Feng Zunja was slightly startled when he saw that Xiao Yang did not show any signs of being timid. An admiration that was difficult to detect flashed over his face. He did not know how Xiao Yang had been accepted as a disciple of Yao Zunja, who was extremely picky. However, at the very least, this courage was sufficient to get others to view him in a better light. With Feng Zunja's old, sharp eyes, he was naturally able to tell that Feng Qing was extremely strong. Although Xiao Yang had broken through to the Dozong class, it was difficult to tell just who would win this battle. Feng Zunja had also heard some of the rumors about some of the things that Xiao Yang had done. However, he had heard that this was because there was a powerful soul within his body. Lei Zunja had already taken the lead to prevent him from using it in this match. Thus, Xiao Yang's fighting strength would be significantly reduced. Feng Zunja swept his gaze over Xiao Yang. He could vaguely sense the existence of a powerful spiritual body. However, he was disappointed that this spiritual ripple was not something that belonged to Yao Lao. Be careful. If I guessed correctly, this woman's strength should have already advanced to the Dozong class after having soaked in the Heaven Mountain blood pool. Moreover, along with the fighting strength of her avatar, her strength has far exceeded that of an ordinary Dozong. Feng Zunja turned his head and instructed him. If you are no match for her, there is no need to clash with her. Feng Qing's talent is indeed top-notch among the younger generation I have met over these years. Even Qingluan does experiences a gap with her. It is not embarrassing to lose to her. Xiao Yang was startled when he heard this. Immediately, he smiled and nodded. That Wang Chen was able to borrow the help of the Heaven Mountain blood pool to reach half a foot into the Dozong class. With Feng Qing's even more terrifying talent, it was not an impossible task to break through to the Dozong class in one go. However, the avatar that was mentioned from Feng Zunja's mouth caused him to feel a little surprised. Of course, Xiao Yang nodded on the surface. However, his body had quietly straightened a little. Feng Qing possessed her haughtiness while Xiao Yang similarly possessed his pride. He had just met Feng Zunja. Although the other party was indeed doing his best to protect him, Xiao Yang himself needed to perform in a way that was worthy of being valued by others. Xiao Yang did not flaunt anything through such a performance. All he wanted was to get other people to acknowledge Yao Lao's eyesight. This was especially the case in front of Feng Zunja. Xiao Yang gently inhaled a breath of air. He clenched his hand, and an enormous dark black heavy Shen ruler flashed and appeared. Since his identity had been exposed, he was also able to use this heavy Shen ruler as he pleased. Xiao Yang's feet stepped through the empty air. He slowly walked down in front of the countless numbers of gazes. After which, his feet gently landed in the arena. He raised his eyes, looked at the colorfully clothed, haughty girl in front before using some strength to pick up the ruler's hilt. The surrounding atmosphere had gradually become tense following Xiao Yang landing in the arena. Anyone could sense the swords-drawn atmosphere within the stadium. Feng Qing's name had reached the peak of the younger generation within the northern region of the Central Plains. No one could compare with her even among the four pavilions. It was rumored that this lady had once exchanged blows with an elder of the Wind Lightning Pavilion, who had reached the level of a 2-star Dozong, and ended up in a draw. At that time, she had yet to break through the Do Huang class. This battle result was something that one could be quite proud of. Moreover, the current her had already formally stepped into this level. Her fighting strength would naturally be even stronger. Of course, Feng Qing might have a reputation of being strong, but Xiao Yang was not weak either. He might have swiftly rose recently, but the things he had done had caused others to feel extremely shocked. Ever since he had arrived in Tianbei City, he defeated the genius of the Hong clan, Hong Chen, and had killed Chen Yun and Hong Tuan Xiao, two genuine Dozong class experts, as well as forcefully broke the 9 heavenly lightning prison formation that was set up by the 3 great elders of the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. In the end, he even successfully fled from Fei Qian's hands. Each of these actions could only be described as startling from an observer's point of view. Although most of the people knew that all of this was done with the help of a powerful spiritual body from the rumors, this did not completely erase Xiao Yang's abilities. Currently, these two people from the younger generation, who possessed a great reputation, were meeting on this lightning mountain. The tit-for-tat atmosphere was something that could be clearly sensed by even those in the stands. Naturally, this exchange would undoubtedly become the most attractive battle since the beginning of this season's For Pavilion Grand Meeting. It was likely that not a single person present did not wish to know just who the final victor would be in this battle between two top members from the younger generation in the northern region. Quite a number of people felt their blood boil when they thought of this. Xiao Yang and Feng Qing'er might represent the peak-level fighting strength between the younger generation of the northern region. Although Fei Qian felt extremely unwilling after hearing Lei Zunge's words, he could only viciously stare at Xiao Yang, turn around, and return to his seat while feeling some anger. Lei Zunge ignored Fei Qian, who was filled with anger. His gaze indifferently swept over Xiao Yang. Immediately, he glanced at Feng Zunge and his eyebrows were involuntarily knit. Until this moment, he could not understand why Feng Zunge would suddenly step forward and back Xiao Yang. Moreover, he was exceptionally insistent on his safety. There was basically no room for any negotiation. Just who is this brat to Feng Zunge? Lei Zunge muttered in his heart while feeling lost. He turned his head and glanced at Fei Qian by the side. He spoke in a faint voice, "What is there to be angry about? Qing is fighting in place of you, and even helped you avoid a bad reputation. That brat is extremely abominable. Even Elder Chenyun has died by his hands. Don't tell me that we will just leave something like that be." Fei Qian spoke in a solemn voice. "If you feel that starting a war with the Falling Star Pavilion benefits us, we can also not let this matter rest." Lei Zunge coldly chided. Fei Qian was dull when he heard this. Immediately, he unwillingly grit his teeth. Feng Zunge's appearance had completely halted the Wind Lightning Pavilion's thoughts of killing Xiao Yang off. However, the blades are blind in this current exchange. It is unavoidable for one to be injured in battle. Even Feng Zunge cannot say anything. A sinister look flashed across Lei Zunge's eyes. He glanced at Feng Qing'er facing Xiao Yang in the arena while speaking in a low, deep voice. "What does Chief mean?" Fei Qian was startled and immediately narrowed his eyes. "I have already instructed Qing'er that it is fine to use a powerful strike if she has the opportunity. Although that brat has advanced to the Do Zone class, he is unable to obtain help from that mysterious spiritual body. He is likely no match for Qing'er, and moreover, injuries are commonplace in a fight." Lei Zunge slowly let on. Fei Qian slightly nodded. A sinister smile appeared on his face. Xiao Yang had caused him to lose a great amount of face. How could his reputation survive if this matter were put aside as though nothing had happened? Feng Qing raised her pretty eyes slightly in the arena where there was a swords-drawn atmosphere. She looked at Xiao Yang in front of her. The other party's aura was indeed much stronger than when he was at the Heaven Mountain Blood Pool. No wonder he was full of confidence when he came to the Lightning Mountain. "Although I do not know how you managed to get Feng Zunge to stand behind you, you are likely too naive if you think that you can rely on this to behave atrociously on the Lightning Mountain without fear." Feng Qing'er's voice was still that clear and sweet. She was just like a phoenix that emitted a noble aura, which was difficult to hide. Xiao Yang appeared as though he did not hear her words. His eyes calmly observed her. The majestic Do Qi within his body was like a snake waking up from hibernation as it slowly circulated. Following the surge of his Do Qi, a powerful aura was quietly emitted, charging to the clouds. "Based on my knowledge of you, it seems that you are someone who can only rely on external strength to create a reputation for yourself. It was the case with that spiritual body, and now it is the same with Feng Zunge. In other words, this might perhaps be called using the strength of others to act in an arrogant manner. Today, However, this manner of yours is useless. Xiao Yang's calm manner caused Feng Qing's eyebrows to become vertical as she coldly laughed. She did not like this person, who was of the same generation as her, revealing such a dislikable manner in front of her. Xiao Yang raised his eyes and glanced at Feng Qing. Suddenly, he parted his lips and smiled. He said, "It is unexpected that you are such a noisy woman. Since this is the case, I will also tell you the truth. If you do not have the Wind Lightning Pavilion or any other background, being the exclusive domain of another man might be your best choice with your appearance." A chill slowly surged on Feng Qing's extremely beautiful face. Her pretty eyes coldly glared at Xiao Yang as a majestic aura that was not inferior to him blasted forth with the sound of rumbling thunder like an erupting volcano. Her pretty eyes stared at Xiao Yang icily. A moment later, an ice-cold arc was lifted on Feng Qing's face. "Believe me, you will regret that you said those words." Xiao Yang merely grinned. His soft voice contained a kind of tit-for-tat tone that did not give in even a little. "I await you." After Xiao Yang's words were spoken, the coldness on Feng Qing's face became even denser. Her pretty eyes were also slowly shut. The atmosphere in the stadium suddenly became tense the instant she shut her eyes. A sharp killing intent that chilled one's heart swept through the air. "Sure." Feng Qing shut her eyes for an instant before suddenly opening them. At this moment, her eyes had suddenly turned a strange green-silver color. The sharp, dense killing intent within them had reached a peak. Wind-killing finger. Following the green-silver change in Feng Qing's eyes, a deep green Do Qi storm instantly erupted with her at the center. A vague silver lightning flashed within the storm while the loud rumbling sound caused one's heart to tremble. The enormous Do Qi storm was nearly 100 feet large. Everyone in the stadium was completely stunned when they saw the energy pressure that spread from it. Such a spectacular scene was created by Feng Qing by completely relying on the Do Qi within her body. The Do Qi within her body was really vast and majestic. A wild, violent suction force was emitted from the Do Qi storm, and the tough Sliverwood Stadium seemed to have experienced an earthquake under the tearing force of the wild storm. Arm-thick cracks were spreading. The entire arena had begun to tremble at this moment. Xiao Yang's body seemed to adhere to the arena. His body remained completely still regardless of how the storm sucked. His gaze was firmly locked onto the storm. He could vaguely see a blurry figure within the storm. Wind Lightning Do Qi. Xiao Yang's eyes involuntarily narrowed as he studied the flickering lightning glow and the dense wind affinity Do Qi. This Feng Qing's training talent was indeed somewhat frightening to be able to perfectly merge these two completely different Do Qis. The agility of wind and the violent force of lightning. These two different affinities were perfectly merged and the strength that erupted from them was naturally far from what ordinary Do Qi could compare with. No wonder this Feng Qing possessed the special ability to challenge across classes. This was similar to Xiao Yang's Do Qi, which was mixed with the existence of a heavenly flame, allowing the Do Qi's strength to be incredible. This was also the trump card of Xiao Yang when he fought with opponents whose strength exceeded him. The current to flame mantra was DI class low level. However, by relying on the mysteriousness of the flame mantra, it was comparable to a DI class middle level Qi method. In terms of Qi methods, Xiao Yang did not gain advantage over Feng Qing. After all, with the support of the Wind Lightning Pavilion and her outstanding talent, the Qi method she practiced would likely be a very high level, and was likely to be much better than that of an ordinary Do zone. In terms of Do techniques, both parties possessed their own ultimate moves. If they did not face each other head-on, it was likely difficult to determine the final victor. Kai! While Xiao Yang was weighing both parties' strengths in his heart, a colorful cloth suddenly shot out like an arrow from the enormous rotating storm. A bright lightning glow adhered to it as it penetrated the storm. It rocketed through the sky as it viciously shot towards Xiao Yang's location. The colorful cloth, that carried a lightning glow, was traveling at an extremely frightening speed. Within a flash, it had appeared in front of Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's hand seal changed because of this colorful cloth that contained a powerful lightning glow. The space in front of him suddenly became distorted. The colorful cloth violently smashed through the distorted space. However, it deviated from its original position and coincidentally flew past Xiao Yang's shoulder, narrowly missing it. The lightning glow on it had caused the hair on Xiao Yang's arm to stand on end when the cloth passed by. HMPH. A cold snort was emitted from the storm when the colorful cloth was easily dodged by Xiao Yang. The cloth shook and swiftly turned around like a colorful snake that possessed some intelligence. After which, it shot towards Xiao Yang's back. Xiao Yang's toes moved after sensing the rushing wind behind him. His body appeared a couple of dozen meters away. Kai! The colorful cloth shook once again and rushed out. It shot after Xiao Yang like maggots in one's bones. The colorful cloth might seem just like an ordinary cloth, but it emitted a vague chill when it cut through the air. It did not appear like a mere cloth. Instead, it was more like an unusual metal. Adding the powerful Do Chi that it brought with it, the cloth could easily cut through a rock. An ordinary expert Do Huang would likely end up seeing blood if they made contact with it. Xiao Yang's body had just stabilized when a rushing wind was transmitted over again. He frowned as a jade-green flame swiftly surfaced on his arm. Immediately, he reached his hand behind him and violently grabbed. Bang! Xiao Yang's hand accurately grabbed the colorful cloth that shot over. The powerful strength that was contained in it caused Xiao Yang's body to tremble. However, with the flame surrounding his hand, the powerful Do Chi was swiftly grilled by the glazed lotus heart flame into nothingness. Xiao Yang coldly laughed when he grabbed the colorful cloth. The powerful force that it contained caused Xiao Yang's body to tremble. However, with the flame surrounding it, that powerful Do Chi was swiftly grilled into nothingness by the glazed lotus heart flame. A cold laugh was emitted by Xiao Yang as he grabbed the colorful cloth. Do Chi surged from his body. He held the colorful cloth and violently pulled. Clang! The cloth was pulled until it was completely straight, even a vague metallic sound appeared from it. The other side of the cloth, which disappeared into the storm, shook with a great force. Even the enormous Do Chi storm seemed to have shifted some distance because of this. The cloth was completely straight as it emitted a crunching sound under the two frightening forces. The veins on Xiao Yang's hands moved as he continuously maneuvered his Do Chi. On the other hand, the Do Chi storm began to rotate even swifter. The pulling force that was emitted from it became even more intense. Clang! Although the colorful cloth was not an ordinary item, it was unable to endure being pulled in two directions by two elite Do Zongs. Hence, it did not take long before numerous tiny cracks appeared in the middle of the cloth. After which, a clear sound rang out as the cloth tore apart. Xiao Yang and Feng Qing took quite a number of steps back before they finally stabilized their bodies. Colorful Phoenix Domination. The colorful cloth had just been torn apart when a clear cry suddenly sounded. Immediately, one could hear a repeated "oh swoosh swoosh" sound as numerous colorful clothes continuously shot out of the storm. After which, they swept towards Xiao Yang from all directions. A solemnness flashed across his eyes as he watched the colorful scene that covered the sky. The heavy ruler in his hand swiftly drew numerous orbits as ruler figures swiftly appeared. Six-joint body flowing ruler. Clang 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 clang. The colorful cloths poured down like rain from all directions, immediately striking the ruler shadows, which were over 10 feet wide. A clear sound continuously resonated around the stadium. The colorful cloth contained an extremely great strength. Although they would be blocked by the dense ruler shadow's defenses each time, its strength still formed numerous cracks on the silver wood ground Xiao Yang was standing on. Both of Xiao Yang's feet were repeatedly shaken until they sank into the silver wood. Creak creak! A countless number of people were stunned as they watched the beautiful scene in the arena. The colorful clothes poured down from the sky like rain, immediately landing on the circular ruler's shadow defense. They brought about waves of clear sounds as they destroyed the silverwood arena until it became more and more miserable. Clang! Another colorful cloth violently smashed into the ruler shadow's defenses. The enormous strength in it caused the circular ruler shadow's defenses along with Xiao Yang to be smashed heavily into the ground. Looking from the outside, one could only see a 10-foot wide pit. Although Xiao Yang was forced into the ground, Fengqing did not stop attacking. She clearly understood that despite the earlier attack appearing like a violent storm, it did not cause Xiao Yang much harm. The continuous ruler shadow's defenses destroyed over half of the cloth's strength. Screech! A vast, mighty Do Qi fluctuation was emitted from the rotating storm. Immediately, the countless number of colorful cloths that permeated the sky suddenly entangled together. Within an instant, it formed a 100-foot large colorful phoenix in front of everyone's eyes. The colorful phoenix was completely created from cloth. However, the enormous Do Qi storm suddenly crumbled the moment it was formed. The storm transformed into a 10-foot large Do Qi pillar that shot into the body of the enormous, colorful phoenix. Winged lightning sacrifice! The disintegration of the Do Qi storm revealed Fengqing as within it. Her finger pointed at the colorful phoenix in the distance, and a drop of fresh blood flew from the finger. Finally, it landed on the body of the colorful phoenix. A life force formed in the colorful phoenix as the drop of fresh blood landed on its body, much to the disbelief of others. The majestic aura that was contained within it also became more wild and violent. Wind-killing finger! Fengqing's body was suspended in the sky. Her colorful dress fluttered, causing her to appear as noble and haughty as a female deity. Her finger was pointed at the 10-foot wide pit below as she let out a cold cry. The colorful phoenix immediately emitted a loud, clear screech when its cry sounded. A majestic, frightening, green-silver light pillar formed in the mouth of the colorful phoenix. It swiftly shrank an instant later, transforming into a light that was only the size of a palm as it shot out with a swoosh sound. Xiao Yang, one finger shall take your life. Fengqing's bone-chilling voice resounded over the sky while the ray of light shot out, causing the expressions of some people to change. Wind-killing finger, one of the deadliest Do techniques within the Wind Lightning Pavilion. The sound of air being inhaled repeatedly materialized across the stadium when Fengqing's voice appeared. Clearly, everyone was familiar with this beautiful finger. Feng Zunjie, who had already returned to his seat some time ago, narrowed both of his eyes at this moment. His body leaned forward. A deep green rotating wind was lingering over his finger like a spirit. However, a lightning vaguely flickered over the hand of Lei Zunjie by the side when Feng Zunjie's Do Qi fluctuated. Clearly, if Feng Zunjie were to attack at this moment, it was likely that he would stop him immediately. The speed of the light was extremely frightening. It seemed to have penetrated through space. In a flash, it had appeared in the air above the pit in front of a countless number of gazes. The next instant, the endless shadow defense collapsed. Numerous regretful sighs immediately sounded from around the arena when they saw the ruler's shadow defense collapse. However, their sighs had just sounded when an exquisite jade-green fire lotus quietly surfaced from the ruler shadow. Its petals parted, causing it to appear exceptionally beautiful. Chapter 1028, Holy Demon Phoenix Icon. The jade-green fire lotus slowly bloomed like a delicate lotus. A fluorescent light lingered over it, giving it a soul-stirring beauty. However, under this shocking beauty hid a terrifyingly destructive, wild, violent strength. The ray of light shot over just as the fire lotus was blooming. Immediately, it violently collided with the center of the fire lotus in front of innumerable eyes. Two attacks that contained a frightening energy collided like meteorites at this moment. The collision unexpectedly did not result in a loud noise. The intense light ray and the jade-green light entangled with one another, repeatedly eroding each other. A tiny line spread from the empty air where the two lights collided. The entire stadium was completely quiet. Everyone's eyes were firmly staring at the point of collision between the fire lotus and the light ray. Although the expected loud sound was absent, some of those with sharp senses could vaguely sense the might of the frightening energy. The fire lotus slowly rotated. Its jade-green glow made it look like a green-colored crystal. Flame lingered all over it. Regardless of how strong the light ray was, it had difficulty breaking through the fire defense. Instead, the ray of light gradually turned dim while these two eroded each other. This face-off continued as the ripple in the air also became more visible. In the end, a wild suction force was emitted from the point of collision, sucking the rock fragments on the ground into the circular light and shattering them into powder. The ripple continued around 2 minutes or so before gradually weakening as the light ray dimmed. Finally, it completely disappeared. Even after the light ray disappeared, the jade-green fire lotus continued to rotate at a steady pace. However, its jade-green color had become much dimmer. Clearly, the mutual erosion earlier had exhausted a large amount of the fire lotus's energy. The final victor between the two frightening Do skills was the unknown fire lotus. At this moment, numerous exclamations sounded in the stadium. Those seated were extremely familiar with the might of the Wind Lightning Pavilion's wind-killing finger. However, they did not expect that even after it was used with Feng Qing'e, it still ended up being blocked by Xiao Yang's unheard-of fire lotus. Feng Zunge's tensed body relaxed in the VIP seats. The spiraling wind on his hand slowly disappeared. His eyes stared at the slowly rotating fire lotus. A surprise flashed through them. The wild, violent energy contained within the fire lotus was something that caused him to feel startled. That old fellow does not know this move. Don't tell me that Xiao Yang has learned this Do technique from other places? But why is it that even I have never heard of such a powerful Do technique? Feng Zunge felt some doubt. He immediately turned his head to look at Lai Zunge, whose face appeared as deep as water. A faint smile involuntarily appeared on Feng Zunge's face. No wonder he has been picked by that stubborn old fellow, who holds such high expectations. Xiao Yang's talent is much greater than Han Feng's. This fellow has received Feng Qing'e's wind-killing finger. At the edge of the arena, Tang Ying and Mu Qingluan looked at the light ray which had disappeared. Shock appeared in their eyes. They had faced the might of the wind-killing finger before. Naturally, they understood the strength of such Do technique. However, the scene today had caused them to involuntarily sigh in their hearts. This Xiao Yang, who had suddenly appeared, was likely much stronger than them. Feng Qing stood in the empty air. Her graceful body revealed an alluring curve under the cover of the colorful dress. Her eyes were icy cold as she watched the light ray below disappear. Her heart might have been shaken, but her expression did not reveal it. When the light ray disappeared, the jade-green lotus flame, suspended above the pit, began to rotate faster and faster. It emitted a swoosh sound as it made a beautiful green fire tail as it swiftly shot toward Feng Qing'e in the sky. Feng Qing'e's eyebrows became vertical when she saw the fire lotus came at here. She moved her hand and the enormous, colorful phoenix let out a cry. It appeared above her head in a lightning-like manner. A circular 7-colored light barrier spread out of her body, wrapping her within. Boom! The fire lotus arrived just as the light barrier was formed. Immediately, it was like a bomb as an enormous fire wave exploded against the light barrier. The large explosion was like a beautiful firework as it flew across the sky. Under the attack by the wild, violent energy, a circular ripple swiftly spread over this 7-colored light barrier. The speed at which the ripple spread increased. In the end, the light barrier was unable to endure the frightening explosive strength. It shattered amid a loud noise. The light barrier shattered and the remaining flame charged in. It unceremoniously collided with the enormous, colorful phoenix. That great streak sent it flying with a sharp cry. Some colorful cloths were torn from it at this moment. They drifted down from the body of the colorful phoenix. The colorful phoenix was sent flying, revealing Feng Qing behind it. However, her condition appeared to be a little better. Her body moved, leaving behind a couple of afterimages in the sky. At the same time, her body dodged the remaining fire wave. Although she had dodged the fire wave, it was obvious that Feng Qing's state was a little more miserable in this exchange. This had also caused the iciness on her face to become denser. Feng Qing's lovely figure flew back after her feet pressed against the empty air. She landed on the body of the colorful phoenix, which had become dilapidated. The back of her teeth bit her finger before she pressed it abruptly on the back of the colorful phoenix. Soul-swallowing bloodline. With that cry, a dense red glow suddenly erupted from her palm. It swiftly wrapped around colorful phoenix. Within that strange red glow, the colorful phoenix's body swiftly diminished. Finally, it turned into a dense red glow that was swallowed by Feng Qing's small mouth. Feng Qing's lovely body shook when the red glow entered her body. Immediately, a pair of colorful phoenix wings extended behind her. At the same time, her aura swiftly soared. The soaring aura did not continue for long before it came to a stop. However, Feng Qing had rose from the strength of a 1-star Do zone to a 3-star Dong zone. This kind of crazy increase caused one to be a little stunned just watching it. Xiao Yang's figure also appeared in the arena when Feng Qing's aura was soaring. He knit his brows and glanced at her. Immediately, he let out a cold laugh as the seals formed by his hand swiftly changed. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. A cold cry was emitted within Xiao Yang's heart. Flame surged from his body before swiftly returning to it. His aura also abruptly soared in a similar fashion. However, it came to a stop when he had barely reached the strength of a 3-star Do zone. Xiao Yang felt some astonishment in his heart when he sensed that the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change had only enabled him to raise his strength by 2 stars. When he had used it as a Do Huang, it was not difficult to raise his strength by 3 stars, yet it was currently barely able to reach 2 stars. The gap between them each star was really quite big. After musing a little in his heart, Xiao Yang finally understood why. The gap between each star in the Do Zone class was much wider than the Do Huang class. When using the same secret technique, it was only natural that the technique would have difficulty obtaining the same effect as in the past. However, Feng Qing is actually able to raise her strength by over 2 stars. It seems the secret technique she has used is definitely quite high. It should be a little stronger than this incomplete Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change of mine. Xiao Yang muttered in his heart. It seemed that when he had the time, he would need to think of a way to complete the Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change. Otherwise, he would be left at a disadvantage if he were to fight with an expert who also possesses a secret technique. Since it has already come to this, it is only natural that I cannot delay things any longer. Determining the victor is most important. Xiao Yang looked at Feng Qing, who was flapping a pair of 7-colored wings in the sky. A moment later, his eyebrows were suddenly knit together. His gaze was somewhat uncertain as he stared at the phoenix wings on her back. For some unknown reason, he felt a kind of familiarity when looking at them. While Xiao Yang was feeling doubtful, Feng Qing's green-silver eyes suddenly became cold as she remained in the sky. Majestic Do Qi surged out of her body, transforming into an enormous phoenix icon behind her. This phoenix was completely black in color and gave one a kind of demonic feeling. The phoenix's eyes stared at Xiao Yang from a distance as an unusual pressure fell from the sky. Under this pressure, even the energy in the surroundings had become somewhat chaotic. Numerous shocked voices were being emitted from outside the arena. Xiao Yang's eyes stared intently at that enormous black-colored phoenix icon. His entire body felt chill as he did so. At this moment, he understood that it seemed that Feng Qing was similar to Mu Qingluan in that they were both not humans. Instead, their original forms were magical beasts. However, it was the first time that Xiao Yang had met a magical beast that possessed such a pressure in all these years. Feng Qing's pretty eyes did not contain the slightest emotion as they stared at Xiao Yang. A moment later, she gently raised her arm. Her finger pointed at Xiao Yang from some distance away. Her bone-chilling voice carried a kind of unusually strong, domineering aura. Holy demon phoenix icon, swallow the heaven and earth. When the cold cry sounded, the illusionary black phoenix behind Feng Qing appeared to have returned to life. It let out a sharp cry to the sky. Immediately, it flipped its enormous pair of wings, and 100-foot-tall blackness carried an extremely frightening strength as it violently shot towards Xiao Yang like a meteorite. Xiao Yang's eyes stared intently at the unusually dark black light that covered this place. His brows moved, and the bone-chilling flame swiftly surged out. When he was about to do something, he suddenly sensed a fluctuation from his storage ring. He became shocked. His mind moved, and he sensed the origin of the fluctuation within his storage ring. It was a jade bottle. Within the jade bottle was a few drops of green-red blood that contained a frightening energy. Xiao Yang was stunned as he looked at the droplets of green-red blood that he had refined from the mysterious corpse back then. He immediately seemed to have recalled something as his eyes shrank. His gaze looked at Feng Qing in the sky as a shocking thought spread from his heart. She is someone from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. Holy icon strength. Feng Zunge's face involuntarily changed when he saw the dark black phoenix icon behind Feng Qing's back from the VIP seats. His eyes turned to Lei Zunge beside him as he said in a deep voice. It is unexpected that she is someone from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. No wonder you need to personally act to hide her true aura. Lei Zunge grinned. There was a pride that was hidden in his smile. He glanced at Xiao Yang in the arena and said, "This Xiao Yang is really not an ordinary person to be able to force Qing to use her tribe's secret skill." Feng Zunge's eyes were narrowed. A chill flashed through them. Cuckoo, Feng Zunge should not be reckless. You might not be afraid of my Wind Lightning Pavilion, but Qing is a person from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. The Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe would likely not let things be if anything happens to her. You should know just how overbearing that tribe is. It is best not to find unnecessary trouble for the Falling Star Pavilion. Lei Zunge spoke in a faint voice. Are you threatening me? Feng Zunge suddenly smiled as he inquired. Some caution rose in Lei Zunge's heart as he looked at the smile on Feng Zunge's face. Feng Zunge had been famous for the longest time amount of out the for great dozens present. Moreover, he was also the most experienced person. When Lei Zunge was still a dozong, Feng Zunge already possessed a strong reputation in the Central Plains region. Although their statuses had become equal now, Lei Zunge still feared him. This cannot be considered a threat. Both you and I know in our hearts whether it is true or not. Feng Zunge glanced at Lei Zunge. Immediately, he looked at the arena and laughed in a faint voice. I will not do something like bullying someone younger as an elder. Moreover, no one knows just who will emerge victorious in this battle. Lei Zunge raised his eyebrows as the corner of his mouth was lifted into a cold smile. Do you really think that Xiao Yang will be a match for Qing? Qing, who has used her tribe's secret skill, is someone that even some of the powerful elders in the Wind Lightning Pavilion cannot beat, much less Xiao Yang, who has only broken through the Do Huang class a short while ago. Feng Zunge smiled as he replied in a non-committal manner, in that case, let's wait for the final result. Lei Zunge laughed out loud when he saw this. He said, since you have put it this way, let us see just who will have the last laugh in this exchange. While these two giants were conversing in the VIP seats, Xiao Yang in the arena felt extremely uneasy in his heart. After vaguely guessing Feng Qing's identity, he came to a sudden understanding. No wonder he had felt a familiar feeling when he saw her beautifully colorful phoenix wings. If the colorful feathers and flesh were removed, would those wings not be exactly the same as his bone wings? Damn it, why is it that this woman is a member of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe? Xiao Yang involuntarily cursed in his heart as he sensed the green-red blood, the fluctuations within the jade bottle in his storage ring. It was unexpected that the blood he had refined would act in such an unexpected manner after meeting a member of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. This Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe was indeed strange. No wonder it could become one of the 3 top factions in the magical beast world. Xiao Yang's spiritual strength repeatedly seeped into the storage ring, hiding the fluctuations of the green-red blood. If Fengqing were allowed to become aware that he possessed the blood of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe in his hand, it was likely that he would invite an endless amount of trouble. After all, the strength of the Heaven Demon Phoenix was really much stronger than a faction like the Wind Lightning Pavilion. A sense of danger suddenly rose in Xiao Yang's heart after having separated a portion of his mind to suppress the fluctuations of the green-red blood. Bright lightning surged out of his body as he instantly disappeared from his original location. Boom! Xiao Yang's body had just disappeared when a strange light suddenly descended from the sky. It immediately smashed into the tough silverwood arena. An unusual sizzling sound was emitted as a 100-foot deep pit appeared in the arena. Threads of dark black flames burned around the pit. Xiao Yang revealed his body in the air. His eyes stared intently at the threads of extremely faint flames. They appeared to have seeped out of hell with their dense chill. Such an unusual flame seemed to be the source of the feeling of danger within Xiao Yang's heart. What kind of flame is this? It should not be a heavenly flame. Otherwise, the heavenly flamer in my body would have sent something. However, the strength of this flame is not weaker than a heavenly flame. Surprise danced through Xiao Yang's heart. The current him was extremely familiar with the heavenly flames on this heavenly flame ranking. However, one could not find a similar flame to it regardless of how one thought about it. HMPH. The dark black light missed, but Fengqing in the sky merely let out a cold laugh. Her delicate finger was lifted and the dark black light shot forth, like an enormous python, from the enormous pit. It emitted waves of deep sonic boom sounds that crackled over the entire sky. Xiao Yang knit his brows as he looked at the strange light that pounced over. He could sense that the interior of the dark light contained a frightening energy. If he were to be struck by it head-on, it was likely that he would end up seriously injured even with his current strength. A lightning glow flickered over Xiao Yang's feet as his body swiftly pulled back. Numerous afterimages repeatedly appeared in the sky. Xiao Yang, there is no dodging the strength of the holy icon. It will follow you for a lifetime if it fails to take your life. Ridicule surfaced on Fengqing's pretty face as she coldly laughed while watching Xiao Yang dodge. The enormous black phoenix icon was much paler compared to before. Clearly, this kind of frightening dark attack was not something that Fengqing could use many times with her current strength. Xiao Yang appeared as though he did not hear Fengqing's cold laugh. He activated the 3000 lightning movement to its limit. Numerous afterimages repeatedly appeared in the sky. However, such afterimages would be instantly shattered into nothingness by the strange light, closely following behind him. Swoosh! Swoosh! Xiao Yang swung the heavy ruler in his hand. A couple of enormous jade-green ruler glows violently struck the dark black light. However, it was completely useless. Even the speed of the dark light was not the least bit reduced. The solemnness in Xiao Yang's eyes became denser when he saw that the dark light was completely unaffected. This so-called holy icon strength was indeed a little unusual. Dodging in this manner is also not a solution. Using this kind of holy icon strength exhausted a great amount of Do Qi. Looking at Fengqing's appearance, it seems that she is only able to use it once. However, she is currently speeding up her Do Qi recovery. If she is allowed to use another holy icon, it is likely that things will end up even more troublesome. This thought lingered in Xiao Yang's heart. Ordinary attacks were useless against this holy icon. If one wished to destroy it, one must use a strength that was even more terrifying than it. A cold glint flickered in Xiao Yang's dark black eyes. He clenched his left hand and a jade-green flame surged out of it. It was swiftly divided into a green flame and an invisible flame. His finger pressed on his brows and a dense white flame also appeared. 3 kinds of heavenly flames rose and withered in Xiao Yang's palm. Their frightening temperature caused the entire place to become unbelievably hot. Even the dark clouds in the distant sky started scattering because of them. Heavenly flame? 3 types? Heavenly flame? 3 types? The faces of Lei Zunja, Feng Zunja, Jian Zunja, and Huang Quan Zunja in the VIP seats changed the moment the 3 types of heavenly flames appeared. A shock surfaced in their eyes. Although they had seen a heavenly flame before, they had never seen a person possessing 3 types of heavenly flame. Could this be the flame mantra? That stubborn old fellow actually even taught such a chi method to Xiao Yang? Feng Zunja's eyes paused on the 3 types of heavenly flames on Xiao Yang's hands. He suddenly recalled something. He ended up muttering to himself involuntarily in his heart. The appearance of 3 types of heavenly flames sparked a great commotion. However, there were very few who could recognize the 3 types of heavenly flames. Although they could not tell the origin of the flame, they were nevertheless still able to vaguely sense how extraordinary the 3 types of heavenly flames were from the frightening temperature that seeped out of them. Xiao Yang did not hesitate even a little after the 3 types of heavenly flames appeared. He pressed the 3 types of heavenly flames violently together in front of the shocked eyes of Lei Zunja's group. This fellow, is he nuts? Even with Lei Zunja's calmness, he was unable to recover as he watched Xiao Yang. The strength of a heavenly flame was extremely frightening. However, the resistance between each kind of heavenly flame was mind-boggling. If one were to randomly mix them, the final result would be burning themselves to ashes. It was not rare to see such things in the Central Plains. Xiao Yang naturally did not have time to pay heed to the shock of Lei Zunja and the rest. With his current strength, merging 3 types of heavenly flames might not be considered difficult, but he still needed to focus his mind to try his best to maintain the strange equilibrium. Screech! The unusual dark light once again swept over. Xiao Yang did not even raise his head. A silver glow flickered and he appeared over 100 feet away. By the time the dark light rushed over again, his body had already flashed and withdrew a great distance away. During this swift dodging, the 3 colored fire clusters in his hands began to slowly fuse together. An exquisite 3-colored fire lotus slowly rose from the cluster of flames. The stadium appeared like the calm surface of a lake after a large rock had been thrown into it the moment the 3-colored fire lotus appeared. Numerous spatial ripples materialized. Even the energy of this place had suddenly more wild and violent. This scene really fit the description of the world descending into chaos when the fire lotus was born. The expressions of Lei Zunja and the others in the VIP seats drastically changed at this moment. They sensed a kind of dangerous aura from the 3-colored fire lotus. This fellow. How can he unleash such a powerful Do technique? Feng Zunja nodded his head. A smile that was difficult to hide appeared on his face. The eyesight of that stubborn fellow was really as sharp as it had always been. This young man possessed the qualifications to be his disciple. The fire lotus was successfully formed. This time around, Xiao Yang completely stabilized his body. He wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead, raised his head, and glanced at Feng Jing'er in the sky. He let out a long breath, exhaling the inferiority that he had experienced when fleeing earlier. Immediately, he raised his head and a loud laugh that carried a proud aura surged into the sky. Under the Buddha's anger, all ghosts and evil will cease to exist. Demon Phoenix Bell. Following Xiao Yang's loud laughter, that descended mightily from the sky, the wash basin-sized 3-colored fire lotus in his hand suddenly transformed into a fire glow that shot toward Feng Jing'er in the sky. Space fluctuated intensely wherever the fire lotus passed. A dark black spatial line appeared to be just like ink being scattered over the empty sky wherever the fire lotus flew by. That endless darkness caused one to feel shocked. The fire lotus flew out, appearing to spur the energy of this entire place. Wild wind was stirred as the natural energy of the world also became violent. This unusual phenomenon caused a countless of people watching it to be stunned. Such frightening might was something that even those experts, who'd been in the Dozone class for many years, had difficulty triggering. From the sky, Fengqing looked at the fire lotus that had transformed into a fire glow that rushed over. Her ice-cold expression had changed for the first time. She really sensed an annihilating aura from the fire lotus. Under such an aura, a storm involuntarily rose in her heart despite her status. At this moment, she had finally understood that she seemed to have underestimated this young man of similar age right from the start. She had always thought that Xiao Yang had relied on the help of external strength in order to perform his many shocking achievements. However, today, after the appearance of this frightening three-colored fire lotus, the perception of Xiao Yang in her heart was raised regardless of how unwilling she was at letting that happen. Otherwise, the one who would eventually suffer was likely herself. Fengqing's pretty eyes stared at the three-colored fire lotus that cut through the air with its violent energy. A solemnness swiftly appeared on her pretty face. She waved her hand and the dark light, which had been sweeping through the air, flew back in a lightning-like manner. It once again entered the illusionary black phoenix behind her in front of the eyes of a countless number of people. Following the entrance of this strange, dark light, the enormous illusionary black phoenix suddenly became a lot more real. The frightening pressure that spread from it also swiftly became much more intense. Holy Icon Demon Phoenix Bell. Fengqing's hand formed numerous dazzling seals with lightning-like speed before her small mouth suddenly emitted a cold cry. One could see that the enormous illusionary black phoenix behind her seemed to have revived when the cry sounded. A sharp phoenix cry was emitted to the sky. Dark black light suddenly surged and wrapped around Fengqing's body. After wrapping Fengqing's body within it, the powerful dark light also wiggled a little. A moment later, it formed a large black bell that was over 100 feet large. This bell was extremely huge. It was pitch black in color, and crafted on the surface of the enormous bell was a flying black phoenix with its wings spread. An unusual black flame repeatedly curled and rose from its body. This enormous bell was a little strange. Clearly, it was agglomerated from energy, but it seemed even more real than something with substance. Even the dark light lingering on it was similar to an actual substance. The enormous, dark black bell, that had suddenly appeared, naturally stirred numerous exclamations from the entire stadium. This enormous bell gave one a kind of frightening aura of being indestructible when looking at it from a distance. One could just imagine how shocking the toughness of this thing was. It was likely that even the full-force attack by some elite Dozones would not be able to do anything to it. Demon Phoenix Bell. The eyes of the four great Dozones in the VIP seats coagulated as they stared at the enormous black bell. A solemnness appeared on their faces. Among the things that had the qualification to be considered powerful, the reputation of this thing was quite great. It is rumored that this Demon Phoenix Bell is a Do technique passed down in the Demon Phoenix tribe since ancient times. It was created by an ancestor of the Heaven Demon Phoenix whose strength had reached the Do Sheng class. Its defensive strength is incomparably frightening. Moreover, it could be used to unleash an extremely sharp sonic wave attack. It possesses both offensive and defensive capabilities, and it is extremely troublesome to deal with. It is the skill the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe specializes in. There are few in the same class who can break it. However, this girl has clearly only learned superficial parts of it. If those old fellows, who will not die, from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe were to use it, it is likely that everything within a 50-kilometer radius would be covered by this Demon Phoenix Bell. All life perishes the moment the bell chimes. Zhen Zunja clicked his tongue. He sighed in admiration and explained the situation while he fondled his beard. Unfortunately, this Holy Icon Demon Phoenix Bell can only be used by someone with the bloodline of the Heaven Demon Phoenix. Huang Quan Zunja's eyes revealed some heat before he regretfully sighed. There were few things that could attract them after they had reached such a level. However, this holy icon Demon Phoenix Bell could be considered one of those things. If they were to use this Demon Phoenix Bell with their strength, it was likely that they could rely on their own strength to fight against two elite Dozuns of a similar strength. Huangquan Zunja, you should not lose yourself by being dazzled. Try to avoid touching the things of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. Those fellows will not even allow others to stumble upon a corpse of those from their tribe, much less a treasured Do technique. Lei Zunja faintly laughed as he chastised. Huangquan Zunja's face changed upon hearing this. He immediately laughed. I was merely joking. This venerable self, Dozun, is not that foolish. The Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe's position in the magical beast world was similar to the Pill Tower and the Hall of Souls in the Central Plains region. They were a kind of superior and detached existence. Their strength was naturally frightening. Although the Yellow Spring Pavilion was also quite strong, it was still much weaker when compared to such a faction. Although the Demon Phoenix Bell is strong, a little superficial part of it will not be able to achieve anything. Feng Zunja glanced at that enormous Demon Phoenix Bell as he faintly laughed. No one refuted his words this time around. Feng Qing's Demon Phoenix Bell might be strong, but that strange three-colored fire lotus's might was also similarly terrifying. This was especially the case when one felt the annihilation strength contained within it. That strength caused even experts at the level of Lei Zunja to vaguely feel a little fear. With the eyesight of Lei Zunja's group, they were naturally aware that this collision would likely determine the victor of this fight. However, from the looks of the current situation, they could not determine just who would emerge victorious. The dark black bell had just been formed when the fire glow, made from the fire lotus, cut through the air and arrived. The size of the fire lotus could only be described as tiny when compared with the bell's enormous size. It might be tiny in size, but the frightening energy contained within it was something that no one dared to underestimate. In front of a countless number of gazes, the fire lotus was just like a tiny grain of sand that violently collided with the enormous bell in a decisive manner. Clang! A thunder-like chime suddenly sounded the moment the collision occurred. An enormous sonic wave widely spread out from the surface of that enormous bell like a real substance. The wild, violent fluctuation caused even the dark clouds in the sky to churn. The bell chime had just sounded when a low, deep noise followed. At that instant, the wash basin-sized three-colored fire lotus suddenly exploded. This explosion did not cause a loud sound. However, the three-colored fire wave that suddenly surged forth was like a 100,000-foot-tall tsunami in the ocean. It rose in a surprising manner. The entire sky instantly turned into a fire world. The temperature swiftly rose. Some of the places in the distant Wind Lightning Mountain range had begun to burn because of the high temperature. Waves of smoke rose into the sky. The fire wave that came from all directions seemed to have covered the sky at this moment. The thick, dark clouds above Lightning Mountain were vaporized at this moment. The thunderbolt that flashed within them were just like mice who had seen a cat. All of them fled in panic when the three-colored heavenly flames swept by. The Lightning Mountain turned into complete chaos the instant the three-colored fire lotus exploded. Countless numbers of people on Lightning Mountain were drenched in perspiration. Even Do Chi could not completely isolate this kind of temperature. Everyone was stunned as they stared at the endless three-colored fire sea in the sky. In an instant, their hearts trembled. If this sea of fire were to shift a little lower, it was likely that this Lightning Mountain would be completely destroyed by it. The expressions of the four great Dozuns in the VIP seats underwent various changes at this moment. They never expected Xiao Yang to unleash such a frightening Do technique. Such destructive strength was something that even an expert 6-star Dozone had difficulty achieving. Now, however, it had appeared in the hands of a 1-star Dozone. With their eyesight, they were naturally able to tell that Xiao Yang had completely relied on his own strength to use the attack. Thus, he had not relied on any external strength, yet it was precisely this reason that caused their hearts to shake even more. Fei Qian was also stunned as he stood beside Lei Zunja. His face appeared exceptionally comical against the background of the three-colored heavenly flame in the sky. In the face of the eruption of this three-colored fire lotus, even he genuinely felt a kind of dangerous aura that seeped into his bones. If he were to face this fire lotus attack, he might perhaps be able to survive by relying on his strength. However, the price that he had to pay would definitely be a hefty one. This person is really dangerous. Fei Qian inhaled a deep breath of air. His expression also gradually turned solemn. Xiao Yang's weight in his heart also swiftly climbed. Many gazes looked at the sea of fire in the sky with stunned expressions. An enormous bell stood firmly in the middle of the sea of fire. However, the dark black light on its surface had also formed numerous energy ripples as it was around by the three-colored fire wave. Lei Zunja involuntarily sighed when he saw that the enormous, dark black bell did not experience much changes after being struck by the three-colored fire wave. As long as Feng Qing could endure this attack, this match would definitely end with her victory. Crack! However, just as Lei Zunja sighed in relief, a clear, soft sound suddenly broke through the quiet sky. This sound might be faint, but it did not escape Lei Zunja's ears. Immediately, he tightened his hand and slowly raised his head. His eyes locked onto the enormous, dark black bell, and were able to see numerous tiny cracks slowly spreading across it.